Hi everyone. So, this is the second video in my series for Mommy Needs a Minute, Real Issues, Real Time. So today's topics are how to talk to your kids about this virus and your mental health. So I have some pointers that I'm going to suggest to keep in mind and also go over some kind of ideas of how to determine where you are mentally in regards to this entire situation and explain exactly how it is that I feel these two things actually are going quite together right now in this situation. And before anyone asks, yes, I realize I am in a giant panda onesie. I am in my pajamas. See? Ears and all. So, pointers you want to keep in mind is children are just as confused right now and irritable as we are. They have lost out on all social time, parks, friends, hell, even just being outside for any actual periods of time. And on top of that, children are getting to, say, even their junior high or kids that are just starting their first year in high school. Some of them, like, starting their big extracurricular activities is a huge thing for them. I.e., I know my son, he literally just started doing the Annie Junior play this year, and now after all the work that he's actually put into it and how excited he is about it, he can't follow through with it. He can't do it anymore, and there may be a chance that he's going to do it at the beginning of the school year if we have one, but it's unlikely. So basically, all that work and all that effort he put into it, it's kind of pointless at this point. So that's also the other reason why I chose to use this topic as the main topic of my video, and voice it to everybody. So the reason why is because these are some really good tips when it comes to talking to your kids about this, because kids are little humans. They have feelings, they have emotions too. And being as a general human, we all have emotions, we all make mistakes. Certain situations can make us feel one way or another. It doesn't change the fact that we're an adult or a child. We all have our own way with dealing and coping with things. But that's the reason why I decided to kind of give some pointers on exactly how to talk to your kids and how this affects with your mental health and how they actually coincide. So moving on to the tips, you're gonna want to share age appropriate information. I.e., if you have a 6-year-old child, you're not going to tell them that this is a global pandemic that has killed a bunch of people. But you're going to basically want to tell them things that based as their parent. You're going to understand what exactly they know and how they can understand certain kinds of information and explain it to them in the way that they will understand, because you don't want to tell a 6-year-old this big, huge dissertation of what a pandemic is for them to sit there and look at you like a deer in headlights and be like, I don't understand. So then you're no further ahead than what you were to begin with. You're going to reassure your child. As much as this is a crazy, scary time for all of us right now, you're going to want to reassure your child that they're safe and that they're not alone in this situation. Whether they're irritable, whether they're upset, whether they just want to throw things across the room, they're not alone. One of the other really good things I thought would be is to actually find out what they actually know about what's going on, because I'm not sure about you guys, but in our household, we don't usually watch very much news on the TV, and neither one of my children, the older kids anyway, have like Facebook or anything to get any of the news updates. So they don't watch it. They only basically go on the information that they hear from around the other parents in the household, or from the other adults that they've spoke with on the phone, or just even things that they've watched on YouTube. They're not really getting very much information. So actually find out what it is that they know. And my son's grandfather had asked him, what is it that you know, buddy? Like, how do you know what's going on? And he just said that, I know that this is a really bad sickness that's all over the world, and that if people close to me get sick, like mom or sissy or my grandparents, well, then that can make them very sick and they could possibly die. He is 12 years old. He kind of got the layman's concept of it, but he's very right. And that is why it is a big deal for everyone to stay in the house and do the social distancing, especially for people who are immunocompromised. I'll get into that later. So one of the things you're also going to do is actually let them ask questions. No question is stupid in this case. It's an old time saying where no question is stupid, but especially in a time like this where everyone's confused, everyone's irritable, everyone's up in the air, they're kind of at a standstill. It's like pulling your hair out and your hands are in the air going, what do I do? The kids are probably wondering all these different questions too, and the best thing you can do is let them ask those questions. If you don't know, tell them that. Don't sit there and try to bullshit it. Just actually tell them that you don't know the information and you'll do your best to find out that information for them. So you can ask that question, you can tell them what the answer is to that question later. One of the other things I thought would be a really good thing too, and this is more of an activity for the kids. I don't know, it's kind of like the concept of how our great grandparents or grandparents in times of like, the world wars or going back even further, how a lot of people would write things down or they would take pictures based on the current situation. So their family, their descendants going further in their life will be able to see these things and see the kind of things that they went through over the histories of their life. But one of the things I thought would be really good for the children is to actually get them to write down or draw a picture about how they're feeling about this pandemic and how they even their goals about things they're going to actually do when this is all over, or get them to write down weekly how they're doing, how they feel about how things are moving along, how they feel about not being in school. Like, just give them that opportunity to get their feelings out and write them down or draw them even in. And you can do this more than once. So then that way later on, when they get to be adults or they have kids of their own, they can actually give this to their kids to read or their grandkids to read and be like, look, this is something that I went through during my youth, and now I'm going to give it to you so you can read it and see for yourself some of the things that I actually went through. So it's also a good learning experience, but it's also a really good activity. So, like I said earlier, I was going to go over the fact of immunocompromised. So, immunocompromised, I will put it as easy and as less descriptive as possible, but people who are immunocompromised, regardless of the level or the extent that they are at, are people who are more susceptible to getting illnesses or getting extremely sick because their immune system is not up to par. So somebody that would have a healthy immune system is unlikely to have a full-blown cold, or if they do, it's not going to be as bad as somebody with an immunocompromised immune system, which means that, say, if someone in your family is immunocompromised, and God forbid they got this virus, that could land them in the hospital for a very extended period of time because their immune system doesn't quite have the ability to withstand the virus. So it could be quite drastic situation for the immunocompromised. And one of the things that you can also explain is, especially if you have people in your household that are immunocompromised, it makes it a big deal to explain to the children that aren't immunocompromised that you do have people in your family that are immunocompromised. So even though, say, Tommy or Sue can go outside for a walk and be outside for an extended period of time, even though they're just walking around the road, we may not be able to. We might only be able to sit on the front lawn for a half an hour because we can't be out that long. So then that way it kind of gives them a variance on what exactly they can expect. So do check-ins. Your kids need check-ins just as well as you do. Your friends, your family have probably more than likely have messaged you or called you by this time saying, hey, how you doing? I know you're confined to 4 walls. How are you surviving? Or you've done the same to other family members. So if you're stuck in a house with a bunch of children, why not do the same thing to them? Check in with them either every couple of days or weekly and find out exactly how they're feeling. They have a right to feel a certain way too. So actually check in to find out how they're feeling. So moving on to your mental health. So the reason why I wanted to bring this into the case is because some of these identifiers for if you're struggling with your mental health right now could be very real for your children's behaviors and actions right now. So these things that you could be feeling in regards to your own mental health, your children could be feeling the same things and not know what to do with the emotions. So some signs that you're really struggling right now with mental health issues is that you're easily irritated. You're completely unmotivated to do stuff that you even enjoy doing. I can actually be honest with you on that and be like, I have really gone somewhere with my artistic career this year, and I have had a major lack of motivation to do anything, and I know that that's not me, especially when it comes to creative aspects. So that whole idea of just not being motivated, that means like even if you're not motivated to say do your normal chores or do your household work, that all comes down to the fact that you're struggling right now. And that is okay. Everybody is struggling right now, and unfortunately, we don't exactly have access to all the resources that we probably should at the moment. You are experiencing anxiety and panic attacks more often. Having trouble sleeping. Either it takes you hours to fall asleep, or your sleep is broken all through the night. And this is a big one for me too. I've never been fully diagnosed with insomnia, but I always have issues with sleep because of my mental health. And you could be handling this problem, your partner could be handling this problem, and your kids could be handling this problem. I don't know about you, but with my 2 older kids, I find it's been really hard with getting them. They wake up multiple times through the night sometimes. Even my youngest daughter, it's been really hard getting her on a sleeping schedule right now, because I think with everything that's going on, her little body doesn't know how to handle the situation. So she's also 4, so she's very active and can't use that energy in the proper way that she can. So it makes it very difficult for her. So trying to get her on a sleeping schedule and getting her to wind down has been very difficult. Any other moms that have had the same problem, comment below and let me know. Another thing is you have no patience for anything. Meaning that, seeing a cup on the counter could throw your OCD into a downhill spiral where you're yelling at the broom or you're yelling at a speck of dirt on the floor because you have no patience for nothing, or you're very short term with your partners, with your family, with your people that you work with if you're one of those essential workers. You start crying unexpectedly. I don't know about you, but there's been times where I could be sitting there and I'm watching a cartoon and just out of nowhere, you start unexpectedly crying. And you know what? That's one of those big identifiers that, you're kind of struggling with a few things. Another big one is you feel detached from reality. So do you ever find yourself staring off into space when you're in the middle of having a conversation, or you kind of just stop and it's like you're in your own little world because you completely lose your train of thought? Well, that could be part of it too. So these identifiers could be things that your children are experiencing as well, which is why I said it's a really good idea to check in with your children every few days or every week, and just see how it is that they're actually doing. I did do one video before this, and this is on mommy self-care, but the thing is it's not just really only directed towards mommies. It can be any parent, really. Any of those things could really be dejected towards anybody that, wanted to use those tips. I had someone that told me the coloring book idea was awesome. So I actually am in the process of making them some coloring book pages because, again, not children can only color, adults can color too. So on that note, guys, that's my video for this evening, and I just wanted to give you a rundown on some things like this. Yes, the last 2 Mommy Needs a Minute videos have been in relation to different things around the virus, but as I said in my original intro video, I intend this to be kind of realness, also an art channel. I'm waiting for a cord, and then you're going to start seeing me actually do creative art right on my channel as well, just like you've seen other art channels do. So if you want to see me actually drawing out a print or how I draft a painting, comment below, and that might be another create with me video that's coming up. I'm going to see how that works, and I'm also going to put my card up here, either here or here, that's going to come up, and then that way you can actually be linked directly to the first video. So even after this video, if you find anything resonates with you, you can just click on that other video if you hadn't seen it yet and actually go through and see if any of those mommy me time or mommy self-care, person's self-care will actually help you be able to kind of wave through the clouds and the fog. But I hope this video was somewhat of helpful to you guys. Thanks. Talk to you later.